What's up guys, welcome back to Just in Time. So today we're going to be talking about the Big 5 personality tests. Now I really like personality tests in general because I believe that knowing your personality really gives you a lot of insight into who you are, how you make decisions, at least for me. And having this insight for me helps me to be more responsible for the decisions that I make, the behaviors that I do, and the way that I think. On top of having that responsibility over my thoughts and my actions, it also gives me, definitely there's a lot of accountability, but I feel that it always gives me a lot of power to change if I want to, because now I know what is affecting my behavior, what is making me have certain dispositions, and when I know that, I'm more empowered to make a change if I so choose. So the Big 5 obviously has 5 personality traits, and something that a lot of people will misunderstand is that all of these traits are on a continuum or a spectrum. What does that mean? It just means that one person is not one or the other. It's not an either or thing, like a black and white, 1 and 0 kind of thing. You'll always be leaning to one side or the other, so it'll be more dominant in one particular trait, but you will have tendencies for the other trait as well. So the Big 5 looks into conscientiousness, agreeableness, openness to experience, extroversion, and neuroticism. So conscientiousness is basically how well you control your impulses and how goal-oriented you are. So to say somebody is very conscientious would mean that he's very goal-driven, they're very set on a certain target. They set things out already, then they'll finish it all the way to the end, like 100. Very disciplined and deliberate. But somebody who's less conscientious is kind of like me, is more disorganized, we procrastinate a lot. And will be a lot more impulsive in the decision making. So we don't really like structure, and sometimes people might say that there's a lack of direction, because if you don't have the drive to finish a goal all the way, then you'll be like, I forgot the Hokkien, neither here nor there. Agreeableness refers to how we treat our relationships with others. So people are very agreeable, agree more. They're more compliant, they're more accepting, sympathetic, altruistic. So you have a generalization that women tend to be more agreeable because they will seek out conflict a little bit less and they're more willing to help. So again, this is not a broad generalization that all people are like this or all women are agreeable. It's just that the majority, they're just higher percentage. So someone who's less agreeable might come off as a bit harsh or too forward in that they're very demanding, they're very skeptical, they're more willing to just openly insult or openly say what's on their mind. Some people might even think that it's manipulative or uncooperative because they're always disagreeing. They're very firm about what they personally want or believe. So in general, people will be more likely to trust and gravitate towards people who are more agreeable rather than less agreeable. Extroversion is how we're actually relating and interacting with our environment. And it can also refer to how or where we are drawing our social energy from. So somebody who's highly extroverted will typically draw their energy from social interactions. So they're more outgoing, they're more sociable, more talkative, they prefer to be the center of attention. That's very much their comfort zone. But somebody who's less extroverted, or basically more introverted, they will gravitate more towards being alone, having time to reflect by themselves, because social interactions, especially big or large groups, it will drain them really, really quickly. So I always make it a point to draw a very hard distinction here, because I don't want people to start. I think there already is a stigma that extroverted people are friendlier or they're just better at talking or something like that, and I don't want that to be the focus. It's more of extroverted people draw energy from social interactions. It feeds into their energy, so they play off of that. Whereas somebody who's highly introverted, it takes a lot of energy for them to socialize, for them to mingle and interact. So that is where our mind should go to when we're thinking about the words extroverted and introverted. It's not that you're able to talk or unable to talk, it's just how much energy it takes for you to interact with other people. Openness to experience is very much self-explanatory. It's just how willing you are to try new things. But on top of that, it also refers to your creativity, imaginativeness. So typically somebody who's very open to experience, not only will they obviously be willing to try new things and they're imaginative, creative, but they're also very unconventional. Meaning that they will try to figure out new ways to do things. They will not stick to the status quo and stick to the norm. However, if you score low on this, obviously then you're more traditional, more conventional. You need something to stick to, a routine, and you really don't like changes, and it will really get to you. Last but not least is neuroticism, and this is our emotional stability and how we perceive the world. So it's also the tendency to feel negative emotions, how susceptible you are to negative emotions. So basically, if you're very neurotic, you are pretty prone and vulnerable to mood changes, drastic mood changes. You're also more prone to feeling a lot of anxiety and stress because, again, the emotional stability part is where they are more prone to negative emotions, specifically negative emotions. So someone who scores low on this would be more even-headed, a lot calmer in situations, more emotionally stable. Now, while the Big 5 is a rather valid and very stable personality test, it can vary or change as you grow older. So from your childhood to your adolescence to your young adulthood, throughout this period, it is still subject to change. Again, although it's very stable, typically very stable, it can fluctuate a little bit as you grow older, mature, change, And this is why I'm always saying that even though you have certain predispositions that, okay, maybe like I was already prone to be more neurotic, or I was born already, I'm prone to be more extroverted. Because there's the whole nature nurture, so you will be born with certain predispositions, but how you're brought up also plays a lot into how that manifests when you're kind of like around the childhood to teenage years, yeah. So while you may have certain predispositions, I always believe that once you know more about the personalities, and especially what type of personalities you are, you're more in a position of power to kind of like change what you want to change. Now, when I say change, I don't mean change your entire personality. It's more like being aware of certain changes in your life or certain changes in yourself, and as you're going along, kind of notice that, okay, this is a change that I'm feeling, or this is a change that I'm noticing, and this is what I now want to do about it. So for me, I was highly extroverted around my high school all the way to college years. But after I started working on that 20 plus really, I noticed that, hey, I actually don't really want to be around people all that much, and going to big parties and stuff like that really takes a lot out of me. So I noticed that slight shift from being highly extroverted to now, hey, I actually prefer time by myself right now, and it's draining me to go and meet a lot of people, and I'm okay with that. So then I was like, okay, if that is the slight change that I'm seeing, then what I'm gonna do is, I take the necessary steps to just kind of mediate that. So I still go out with my friends, I still make sure that I show up and stuff like that, but I'll make sure that I have a lot of time to myself to kind of like recharge. And hey, if you notice that you're always very close to new things and you want to start trying new things more, this can be the step that you notice that, okay, I already know that my personality says that I am less open to new experiences, but I'm going to slowly mediate that and slowly, just bit by bit, step by step, take steps to improve on that, and so that you'll be more open. That's all for today's episode. Really hope you learned something, and again, let me know what you guys want me to talk about next. See you later.